I saw this video of this woman saying how she understands why a lot of people might avoid their going into their bodies and being in their bodies, because under what's happening in the world with all the oppressive systems, being in your bodies can be very painful. And that's why I believe the revolution is, yes, like, how are we gonna like innovate and transform like the world? But I honestly, and this is something I feel in my own life, I feel like I already have those capabilities. That innate sense of creation is already in us. It's like, do we feel safe in our bodies to take up space, to hear our intuition, to follow our intuition, to have complete trust in our bodies, to know how to listen to our bodies, to know how to nourish and nurture and allow it to take lead. But not just any body, but a healed version of our bodies, a body that understands its own like divinity, a body that is one with its higher self. And so that's where I think the revolution is happening, is like with the somatic work. I think more than like the obvious ways that we're giving our power away, there's a lot of it that's just unconscious in our bodies. So that's where I think the revolution is, like reclaiming our bodies, reclaiming our power. And that means not being a victim anymore. That means not harming ourselves anymore, not putting ourselves down, not internalizing, this extremely critical, fearful voice, and instead like creating and tuning a loving and kind, omniscient voice, omnipresent voice that can speak to you no matter where you are, that can speak and create that connection with yourself in spaces that you might not have felt you could connect to yourself within. Like the places where you felt isolated, lonely, invisible, insecure. That's just about, are you connected to your higher self in those moments? Because that's mine. Because the higher self, they are everything. They're like the most abundant version of you that is. And that's where the duality is, though, right? Because and part of why working with the collective consciousness, the fear-driven, insecure collective and victim consciousness actually helps us reconnect with our higher self. Being in those spaces where everyone's, whether or not they say it out loud, you can feel it, because the thoughts affect the body. You can feel it in their bodies, the way that their consciousness is manifesting. And it's like, that teaches you where you need to embody more of your higher consciousness, so that you can relax through any energies that appear in the quantum field. Any energies that appear in the quantum field, like how can you harness, an even bigger energy that can, right. It's like, okay, like I was just saying how it's like an energy that you're just coming into contact with in the quantum realm. So it's just an energy. It needs a container for it to flow. That's what your higher self is. It's like you are being blessed by the universe with all these like lower consciousness things coming in, lower energies, but in a very intense way, because then you're able to have a bigger capacity, a bigger container for those things to flow. And then you're just becoming a bigger and bigger, but not just a bigger container, but a very, because obviously we're talking about energy here, so it's not just a container, it's an energetic presence, a holding that is so specific, almost like a snowflake in its detailedness of frequency. And only when you're like mastering that frequency can you transcend those particular things. It's the same with ancestral trauma. Like, partially, I like still feel like ancestral trauma can be even harder than collective trauma, because the body has known it longer, maybe, possibly. So it depends, because there's like collective consciousness that are also like ancestral similarities, but it's very different. It's like getting a cold, like, even though you get it from the outside world, it's like, I think it's triggered by something that was already being stored in your body, which I think is ancestral trauma. I think it's like these parts of us that just never were held and are stored in different parts of the body. And that can be harder, because we're not just working with, we're not just working with like an aura. We're not just working with consciousness in, the like lighter realms, which can still be hard to transcend, but like we're also working with denser ones. And it also makes the whole thing of like, I don't know if I'm necessarily like, I don't feel like I need to understand all of this to like experience it and know, like, my body just knows how to do it. I don't always know what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it. But I guess it's like, well, what's one of the reasons we're alive, right? Like, triggering each other's wounds, and then also learning to become all that we're meant to become. And I think ancestral trauma fits in there somehow. There's also like the illusions that have to be honored and seen and realized. Things that just have to be realized. I think that's part of ancestral trauma too, is like, and I think, I'm going to speak on ancestral trauma maybe more detailed as I live my life, because I do feel like as you grow, it's almost like especially people who go through menopause. Bro, I swear to God, people who go through menopause, like, the initiation into ancestral trauma can be really crazy. Speaking from my mom's experience. But yeah, she recently found out that a death very close to her was actually not caused by the thing that everyone thought it was caused by. And on some level, like, she knew this. Her higher self knew this. And like, that's part of making peace with something, is knowing the truth. The throat chakra is about truth, and then the third eye is about peace, and then we have the like release, right? So if the truth hasn't been realized, it's not in alignment to be processed by your higher chakras, right? So sometimes the path to truth takes a while, especially when you've been told so many lies that, maybe were intentional, but honestly, a lot of lies are just unintentional. They're just the way we've perceived things for a long, long time that are just not true. And that's part of why we're being like drawn to go in, because our resonance knows the truth. Like, our hearts know, our consciousness knows, like, our higher self actually knows what's happened. Can't explain it. It's like intuition. So really learning how to listen to that will help us realize more and more of the truth. transcend the illusion, and then build a stronger connection with that practice in ourselves. Yeah. By the way, my name is Roya. And I'm just gonna like make videos on here from time to time, possibly. I mean, I make videos and then I'm like, okay, maybe I should post them on YouTube, because honestly, Instagram is just not my thing. And I also think there's so much content on there. Like, so much that it's like, I don't know how anyone processes anything on there. Like, it feels like a lot of energy. So I'm gonna go somewhere that's more chill.